You ever get that feeling where your life flips in a heartbeat and suddenly you're in a showdown you never asked for? Yeah, that was me the day I found Sarah, my wife, crumpled on our front steps, gripping her shoulder, eyes wild with pain. Let me back up a sec. I'm not telling this from a jail cell, but honestly, I came close. Because that moment, that flash of white-hot rage, was the exact feeling I got on my last deployment as a Navy SEAL. That cold shift inside when you realize somebody's crossed a line you can't ignore. 25 years serving this country. You learn how to keep your cool, how to channel anger into patience and precision. That smug HOA enforcer standing over my wife with his clipboard and two sidekicks? He had no clue who he was dealing with. No clue he'd just triggered a whole different kind of operation. One that was going to tear his little fiefdom down, not with fists, but with strategy, evidence, and relentless legal force. You ever gone up against a power-tripping HOA tyrant? If you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When I retired, all Sarah and I wanted was peace, a place to heal. She'd stood by me through the dark stuff, deployments, PTSD, all those ghosts that haunt you at 2 a.m. So when we found Pine Creek Estates, it felt like a miracle. She loved the backyard, where she could plant her herbs, and I got a garage for my tools and a lake to fish in. We actually believed the realtors. Quiet, close-knit, all that good stuff. First 6 months, life felt normal. I started teaching the neighborhood kids self-defense for free. Sarah was head nurse at the hospital. We made friends, like Mike and Rebecca next door. For a little while, it felt like the bad years were behind us. Then came the knock. Some guy in a tight polo, Chad, clipboard in hand, spouting compliance this and regulation that. Apparently, my anniversary gift to Sarah, a handmade trellis, was a $500 violation. No retroactive approval, no mercy, just a fine and a threat. It was laughable until it wasn't. Turns out, Pine Creek's HOA ran more like a private kingdom, ruled by Karen Matthews. Picture a woman with jewelry that cost more than your car and a smile that could curdle milk. Mike, who'd been a cop, warned me. These people played dirty. They'd pushed families out before. But I didn't want a war. I filed an appeal, tried to play it straight. They shot me down, then doubled the fines. Suddenly, my mailbox was the wrong color, my lawn was too long, garbage cans misplaced, Sarah's garden unauthorized. $2,000 in fines overnight. It wasn't random, it was targeted harassment. When I showed Sarah the stack of violations, I saw the fire in her eyes. We're not the only ones, she said. If we don't push back, who will? And just like that, I felt that old calm, the calm before a mission. One more operation? I thought. I requested a meeting. The board looked like a bad courtroom drama. Karen holding court, Doug the numbers guy sweating bullets, the others nodding like bobbleheads. I laid out evidence. Photos of similar trellises, questionable HOA expenses, even one of Karen's backyard projects that somehow got approved. They stonewalled, but I caught the flicker of fear in Doug's eyes when I mentioned finances. Weak spot identified. That week, HOA patrols ramped up. Chad started snapping photos through our windows. When I called him on it, he just smirked. Move somewhere without rules if you don't like it. I'd seen his type in the service. Bullies who'd never been tested, craving authority. Meanwhile, Sarah refused to stop her garden, kept helping patients, even as they ramped up the pressure. Then came the breaking point. Sarah tried to dismantle the trellis herself, too tired to keep fighting. I was in the garage when I heard yelling, then a scream. I found her on the ground, pain etched deep, Chad and his cronies looming. She refused an inspection. Chad barked. I looked at Sarah, dislocated shoulder, maybe worse. In my SEAL days, I'd have put him on the ground in 2 seconds. But this was civilian life, different rules. I helped her up. You made a mistake, I told Chad, and in that moment, my plan crystallized. Mike and Rebecca showed up, camera rolling. We called the cops, but Officer Benson, one of Karen's friends, refused to file a report. Just a misunderstanding, he said on the drive to the hospital. I made a vow. This wasn't just about us anymore. This was about every person they'd bullied. With Sarah out of commission, Mike and I started digging. Turns out, Karen's husband died suspiciously. Benson handled it. Doug got fired from a bank for shady accounting. Chad's got a sealed record. Rebecca, a reporter, dug up even more. Money siphoned off, fake consulting, the works. I called in Sam Wilson, a lawyer and ex-Army Ranger Sarah once saved. He wouldn't take payment. "This is about justice," he said. "Together, we build a case." Documented every selective violation, every procedural screw-up. I created a map of connections. Karen, Doug, Chad, Benson. We started an anonymous forum. Residents poured in, wheelchair ramps fined, holiday decorations cited, targeting anyone who didn't toe the line. Karen tried to shut it down. Sam sent her a legal memo. Her power started to slip. Twist of fate. Chad ends up in the hospital after a bike crash. Sarah is his nurse. Treats him with respect, lays out his care plan. He actually asks her why she's being nice. "Because that's my job. Dignity isn't conditional," she says. For the first time, I see a crack in Chad's armor. Sometimes, decency gets through where threats don't. Rebecca's reporting exposes $250,000 siphoned from HOA accounts. Vacations, luxury cars, kickbacks. Mike's cop friends dig deeper. Benson's been protecting them for years. We hit them with restraining orders, court-mandated audits, and a campaign to force new elections. Karen panics, tries to push a special assessment to cover legal fees. At the meeting, I stand up and tell the truth. Show the receipts. The community rallies. The vote fails. Karen's mask slips. And then, the final act. Benson tries to plant drugs in my truck, tipped off by none other than Chad, who'd finally had enough. We catch it all on camera. Benson gets arrested, Karen and Doug spiral. Emergency meetings, frantic cover-ups, too late. The DA moves in, arrests are made, assets seized. Local news picks it up. Suddenly, HOA corruption is front-page news. The aftermath? Pine Creek's a different place. Sarah's trellis stands tall, blooming with new life. The old board is out, replaced by neighbors who actually care. Fees drop, services rise. Chad does his community service, but sticks around to help. Sarah starts teaching health advocacy, shows people how to stand up for themselves. I find myself coaching other neighborhoods, showing them how to fight smart, not scared that a year later, we celebrate together. Block parties, real friendships, laughter ringing out where fear used to live. Someone asks if it was worth it. All the headaches, the risks, the nights I wondered if we'd lose everything. I look at Sarah, healed and happy, the trellis glowing in the sunset. Freedom, I say, takes work. Doesn't matter if you're defending a country or a cul-de-sac. You have to fight for it. And here's the thing. This isn't just my story. It's every community where people feel powerless. If you've ever faced down bullies with badges or bureaucrats who forgot who they work for, you know the real win isn't just beating them. It's building something better in their place. That's what we did, and that's what anyone can do. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight, or did I go too far? Tell me your own HOA battles, your wins and your losses. Share your thoughts on justice, on community, on where the line gets drawn. Because in the end, it's not about rules or fines. It's about standing up when it counts. And trust me, sometimes the only easy day really was yesterday.